All right, welcome in everyone to Catfish on Ice, episode 78 with Chad Mitten and Rich Howe. We are bringing you a new episode here this week. Wild weekend in Nashville sports in general. So much going on. The Preds play two. I would call them.
Oh, sorry. Oh, that's me. My bad. Gosh, I don't even know how to work stuff. I'm sorry.
I hear myself double right now, Rich, and we only need to hear me once right now.
I turned it off. I was trying to check the YouTube feed.
Checking that YouTube feed. We are on YouTube tonight, so everyone that's watching, we really appreciate it. You know what? It's my favorite time of the year because it's hoodie weather. I have an excuse to wear a hoodie every day if I want to. I know you wear the hoodie all the time. I'm rocking this Nashville Predators hoodie. I pulled it out of the closet today. I haven't worn it all year since last season. I love hoodie weather. I love the fall.
Oh, absolutely.
The only thing that sucks about the fall is it does get dark earlier. I hate that part of it. But other than that, I am so happy about the fall. There's so much going on right now. The leaves are turning. I love it.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving's right around the corner.
I don't even see how that's possible. How was your weekend, man? I know you had a fun weekend with some family. Celebrated an anniversary, man. Congratulations.
It was our wedding anniversary. We went to Harrodsburg, Kentucky. Yeah. Stayed at a place there.
The pictures were beautiful, man. The pictures were awesome. They were outstanding. So congratulations. I'm happy for you, man. I'm glad you had a really good weekend.
How about you?
Oh, it was a really good weekend, man. I'm working a new job right now, so that's good, getting in the swing of things. But still got to watch the Preds this weekend, which was awesome. We did a watch-along with the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel for Canucks and Preds on Friday night, and I just had a blast. I mean, it was so much fun doing it with Isha, who is the co-founder of the Hockey Podcast Network, which is what we are a part of. It was so awesome doing that with him. I had so much fun. And of course I had more fun because the Preds won. He lives on Vancouver Island in Canada, and he's a big Canucks fan. So we did the stream together. We watched the game together, reacted to it live. There was like around 25 to 30 people in the chat at all times. And so for all of our listeners watching tonight, all of our loyal listeners who we love, we are going to be doing our own Catfish on Ice watch along very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. Me and Rich will be watching the game with all of you. We're going to talk about it together. That's the whole point of these watch-alongs, is getting all of our listeners to comment on the game, have a fun discussion. We welcome in the fan of the other team as well to come in. Oh, yeah. It's a lot of fun. So we got that planned for you coming down the pipe. It's going to be coming down very, very shortly, and hopefully in the next week or two. We put a poll out there. We need you to vote on it right now. Which game would you prefer for us to cover? So we will get into that poll a little bit later. We'll see if anyone's voted on it yet. It's a pretty brand new poll. But let's let you know what we got in store for you.
Tons.
We got two very different games to react to from the weekend. We've got a really exciting game, arguably the most exciting, best win of the season for the Preds, and then they followed that up in classic fashion with a dud.
Big dud.
With a massive thumbs down against the Chicago Blackhawks of all teams. And so we're going to look at both of those games. They are literally polar opposites of each other from this weekend by the Preds. But we're going to react to both of those games. We've got to get into this rookie race because we've got at least two Preds players right now who are catching NHL national attention when it comes to the rookie race. I know it's very early and things can change. I know Ellie Tolvanen was in that mix last season before he got hurt. But we got to talk about the rookie race, see what's really sticking out, talk about those players. And then, of course, we've got Kyle Perkins joining us later because it's Monday. So we got Kyle Perkins joining. Kyle Perkins is joining us for Perk's Picks. He's got a whole list of things that happened over the week that's on his list. So we can't wait for him to join us for that. And then we're really just going to react to the entire weekend that was Nashville sports because it was, I got to tell you, it was crazy. All of your teams that you could be excited about if you're a Nashville sports fan. Oh my gosh, there was so much to get into. It's so great to have all these sports going on at once, and it's almost too much to keep up with. So we're going to touch on all that to round out this episode. And of course, one more thing in quick hitters, because I'm not going to overlook this, because I am a diehard hockey fan in general. Alex Ovechkin, he has made a big milestone tonight. He's climbing up that goal list, all-time goal leader list. And so we're going to give him some love, and we're going to round out the episode talking about him. We'll have Kyle Perkins on the podcast on the episode live when we get to that segment, so we'll ask his opinion on that as well.
We also have to talk about that David Riddick story. Don't forget about that. Lindsay's on here. How Lindsay?
Lindsay's going to yell at me.
She will.
Lindsay, I'm sorry. I'm not going to forget about it. Don't yell at me. Don't yell at me, Lindsay. We're going to get to it. All right. We're ready for it. We're presented by DraftKings. Thank you, Lindsay, for hopping in and joining us tonight. We really appreciate you and everything. We also got to update the Fantasy Hockey League standings right now.
Yeah.
We're through 4 games of action, and it's pretty close. We're all kind of beating each other up right now. So we'll kind of update all of our listeners on how our Fantasy Hockey League is going on right now. All right, let's get into it. Opening face-off tonight for episode 78 is the night and day weekend that was the Nashville Predators. And let's start with – I always like to start with the bad and then work my way to the good. I don't know about you, but that's how I feel about it.
There was plenty of bad. So
let's start with the bad, which was Sunday night, last night, against the Chicago Blackhawks. Of all teams that you're going to lay an egg against, you got to do it against the Blackhawks.
Yeah, and one that is horrible. They're horrible. They're so
and
bad.
I said going into this game that this is the type of game that the Preds always seem to just sleepwalk through, overlook, play their worst game, and they decided to do it. Luckily, UC Saros was still locked in and made some really critical saves, and the Preds salvaged a point. And Alex Carrier had a particularly really good game. He's doing very, very well this season. He's starting to really get into his own. And there were a couple close moments where the Preds could have scored and maybe made the game a little bit more interesting. But in the end, it was a pretty boring game to watch. It was a very underwhelming performance for a team that I'm sorry I came out of it very disappointed, because if you want me to get to that moment where I feel like the Preds should be taken seriously when it comes to being in the top tier of the division, and we do our rankings every Thursday episode. If you want us to move them up to that top tier in this division and be taken seriously, they got to take care of business against teams like the Blackhawks. And they just didn't do that. They just didn't do that on Sunday. They looked very underwhelming, whereas the Blackhawks looked more aggressive. They looked like they wanted to win that game more than the Preds did, and it was just very disappointing performance. Yeah, you got a point, and so the Preds are still right there in a current wild card position. That's something positive to take away from it in this early going. But in the end, you'd really like to see the Predators take care of business there and get those 2 points.
Absolutely, and I think you tweeted something about it earlier that day. The Predators do a good job of making not so good goalies look excellent. Kevin Lankinen. So the Blackhawks have only won 1 game, well, 2 now, but the game they won, obviously Marc-Andre Fleury played in that one. Lankinen was not good, but man, he sure did a good job last night. I mean, he looked good. He stopped everything except for Carrier's big dive to the net, but yeah, it's just really disappointing. You think they get a little steam going and then they do this, but I guess the bright spot, like you said, is the 1 point, but they should have beat them easily. I mean, you don't know the teams, but they should have beat them. Yeah,
and if you're going to be considered a serious contender, then I just feel like the performance should have been a lot better. And I mean, it's an 82 game season, so you're going to have these types of games. I'm not trying to overreact here or anything like that, but like it's one of those games where the Preds are probably going to be in that conversation of being right around that borderline of making a playoff. And these points matter, and leaving points on the table, even 1 point does matter. So when you're playing a team that you really should, I don't want to say dominate, but you're definitely the much better team on paper. You feel like that should have been a pretty relatively easy win. And I'm going to be totally honest here. I actually think they're lucky that they got a point in that game.
I agree.
Because
100%.
the Blackhawks they had their plenty of chances in their own right to score more than one goal in regulation. But
they did.
Luckily, Saros was there and he was solid.
Oh man, and that's what I think. I said something about that. I tweeted it out. Like, it's such a waste. He did such a good job, and he always does a good job. And then for them to not get the 2 points was just pretty disappointing. Actually, I mean, it's just it is what it is.
And overtime ended pretty quickly as well. Like, it didn't take long at all.
No.
It took 37 seconds into overtime. Alex DeBrincat, he's a really good goal scorer. He's one of the very few good players that they have. He got his 7th goal of the season. Patrick Kane got his 7th assist of the season. So their top stars came through there. Of course, the Preds are still without Philip Forsberg, so you got to take that into account. But yeah, so Alex Carrier, he got the lone goal of the night. It was unassisted. So Matt Duchene cooled off a little bit because he's been on a hot. He did have a good look. And so let's switch to the positive now. We're going backwards now chronologically. We're not going in order at all here. But I still like to start with the bad news before I get to the good news, just the way I am. Friday night, that was a lot of fun. Oh, my gosh. I mean, that was even if you didn't have a dog in the hunt, oh, my gosh, that game was so fun. Yeah. I mean, it was back and forth from when the game started, just end-to-end action. Both teams trading blows, both teams testing the other team's goaltender. I mean, Thatcher Demko and UC Saros were trading great saves after great saves. When they did get beat, it was the product of really good goals. The 2 goals that Saros got beat on he basically just got pulled out of his net really far, and they were just really strong goals. And of course, let's talk about Matt Duchene's goal, which was, for me, it was the turning point in that game. The Preds are down 2-1. The Canucks are starting to really take over momentum, and Duchene breaks loose like he can do. Aggressively skates into the zone, breaks in on Thatcher Demko, beats him backhand, very similar to the way he scored the game winner last year in the playoffs to beat the Hurricanes.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I got to tell you, man, I've always liked Matt Duchene. We've talked about him for several seasons, waiting for him to get hot. I hope that he can keep this up because I really like watching him play. He has got such good puck control. I just love watching him pass the whole 9 yards. He's playing really well. Hopefully he can continue.
Yeah, I mean, when he is locked in and when he's playing aggressive, like he's been doing, he's a player that's definitely can live up to this contract. The problem is he's never done that, and he's been a very streaky player for a big part of his career. I looked at some really good numbers on him, and I know it's early, but I looked at the pace that he's on through his first 11 games. I have not factored it in since the Blackhawks game, full disclosure. But going into the Blackhawks game, he was on pace to score 37 goals. He was on pace to easily shatter his career high in shots on goal.
I'm here for it.
If you look at his career seasons, his best seasons in his hockey career, one of his most productive seasons was the season before he went to the Nashville Predators, the summer of 2019. He split time with Columbus Blue Jackets and the Ottawa Senators. Had a really good playoff performance for the Columbus Blue Jackets that year. And then that's when the Predators went in and signed him for that $56 million total contract that runs to 2025.
And it looked amazing at the time. It looked like a great deal.
The type of pace he's on right now is an actual better pace, more efficient pace than what he was on the season before the Predators signed him. I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. Now,
that's what we want to see.
Unfortunately, he can be a streaky player, and he has these disappearing acts where he'll go on these 10-game stretches where he just doesn't do anything. Matt Duchene did not score his 5th goal of the season last season till the last game of the 56-game regular season. You want to talk about blowing your mind.
That's insane. I didn't realize that. I did not.
He was
realize
completely invisible for much of last season for many different reasons, not all his fault. But I will say he was basically ineffective.
Yeah.
And some type of switch has been flipped to where he is on another level right now.
I think he's got to hear the chatter. I mean, those guys say they don't pay attention, but I think they do pay attention. And man, for like we said, 3 seasons we've been hearing about it, and now it looks like he's finally doing something. He's leading the team in goals with 5, so that's awesome. I think he might be second in points, which is cool.
Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah, so I mean, he's playing
he's
good.
He's being the leader that he needs to be. I'm telling you, and I know they're all going to have these games where they're held in check and they don't score a point. I mean, none of these players are Nathan McKinnon or Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews or all these. None of these players are like that where they're just going to go off every single game. But a player like Matt Duchene, okay, he was left off the score sheet against Chicago. Quite frankly, the entire team had a really terrible showing. Let's see how he bounces back against Dallas now. That's what you want to see. You want to see quick turnarounds. You don't want to see Matt Duchene stretch a 1 game where he didn't really do much into like a 5-game stretch where he doesn't do anything. That's what you're worried about. That's the knock on Duchene is he likes to disappear on you. And so we'll know for sure here in the next couple weeks if this is all fool's gold, what we're talking about here, or is it legit? We're going to find out in the next couple weeks when it comes to Matt Duchene.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully he's on the upswing.
Another big moment in that game, I'm telling you, Saros did end up making some really clutch saves there at the end. And here's what really changed that Canucks game was special teams. How about the Preds penalty kill? Holding the Canucks to 0 for 5 on their power play, whereas the Preds went 2 out of 3 on their own power play. That's your difference maker right there. I mean, when I was watching the live watch along for the Hockey Podcast Network, a YouTube channel, which you need to go subscribe to along with our own YouTube channel tonight. If you're watching or if you're listening to the podcast the next day, please go do that. It helps us out a ton. And you can get in on these episodes every time we stream it live. You can get in on the discussion and have a lot of fun with that. But when I was watching the episode with him, and I'm watching it with a Canucks fan here, a lot of Canucks fans, the Preds fans were actually very outnumbered in this live watch along. Many Canucks fans. And I kept telling Isha, first period, second period, the Preds are going to take a couple more penalties, dude. They're going to keep taking penalties. This is what this team does. They take penalties. And I kept saying if the Preds keep playing with fire, it's going to burn them, and it's going to burn them to the point where they're going to lose this game. But I stand corrected in this. The Preds somehow killed off all 5 Canucks power plays. They were blocking shots. They blocked a ton of shots that game. The number is insane. 28 to 11 and blocked shots over the Canucks in that game. So you don't have to look very far to figure out why the Preds figured out a way to win that game, and they still only won the game 3-2. It's not like the game was a domination game on the scoreboard. Right. The game was very much hanging in the balance till the end, and those are your 2 key moments right there: is special teams, penalty kill, and blocking shots, which those 2 go hand in hand.
Right,
blocking because a lot of times you got to block those shots when you're on the penalty kill. So there's your difference maker.
Yeah, 2 of the 3 goals were power play goals. One was by Roman Josi. The game winner was Philip Tomasino, which that's always good to see, man.
Awesome job, Tomasino, getting his 3rd goal of the season. Yeah, and then of course, Roman Josi had got his 4th goal of the season to continue his efficient, normal start that he's always on. Yosi's goal was out from the point, one of those wicked shots that Josi knows how to do, where he's way out top and just ridiculous accuracy.
Yeah. Especially from that far out. Yeah, it's crazy. That's his shot, that's for sure.
Yep. So now going into Monday's action, you look at the division standings. The Preds are in 4th place with 13 points. They're just 3 points out of first place. Minnesota is at 16 points. St. Louis is at 15 points. Winnipeg's at 14. Nashville's at 13. So we talked about this going into the season. Go and listen to our episodes leading up to the season opener. We said, can the Preds start off playing well? Don't dig yourself an early hole. I was super worried about this October schedule being very difficult and they were going to fall in this deep hole in the standings. Guess what? Crisis averted. They did not fall in a deep hole. They did figure out a way to string together some wins. They're still on a very good streak as far as getting points in every single game. I think it's like 7 of the last 8 games they've at least gotten a point.
I think that's right.
The one game they've lost was to the Winnipeg Jets in that stretch. They've beaten the Flames over that stretch. They've beaten the Canucks over that stretch. They've beaten the Islanders over that stretch. They've beaten some really good teams. And then it was a dud, but they still got a point against the Blackhawks. So they're figuring out a way to get points. They're hanging around. They're pretty much an even goal differential on the season, only a -1. So they're competing. They're doing what you want to see them do right now, and it's through 12 games. Very small sample. There's still a lot to learn about this team. But right now, I think they're slightly outperforming preseason expectations.
I would agree.
I'll give them a slight. I'll give them a very slight outperforming.
Yeah, I didn't expect them to play this well, especially like we said, the schedule was a little tougher. November's looking pretty good for them. The game against the Stars is a first of a back-to-back. The next night they're in St. Louis. So that's probably going to be a tough game. Both of those will be tough. Those are kind of rivalries with Predators. So, those will be 2 tough games. And then they got Arizona coming in on the next Saturday. So that's another one of those ones you got to be careful, man. Don't overlook.
You got to be careful. You can't overlook anybody in the NHL.
No, absolutely you can't. No. I've always said that any team in the NHL is capable of beating any other team on any night.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
let's get into our next segment of Catfish on Ice. This is episode 78 with Chad Minton and Rich Howe, brought to you by DraftKings. Get the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, promo code THPN, with some exciting offers, exclusive offers with that promo code. And let's get into let's talk about the rookie race here. Let's talk about how the Preds don't have one, but 2 realistic rookies who can get some attention, be in this rookie race. I'm not saying they're necessarily going to win it, but they are very much in it right now. And the 2 I got are Tanner Jeannot and Alex Carrier. And going into the season, I wasn't sure in particular if Tanner Jeannot was going to be considered a rookie because of the game requirement. I didn't know how they were going to assign people as rookies based on how last season was a shortened season. And Tanner Jeannot was right around that cutoff.
He sure was.
But he is indeed considered a rookie this year.
Yeah.
And Alex Carrier is as well. You've got 2 very critical, important players that are playing a lot of minutes for the Preds right now who are rookies. So it's going to be very exciting to track their progress in the NHL's Rookie of the Year race this year.
Yeah. Of the 2, I think Jeannot is getting a little more traction, a little more exposure.
Yes.
Because of the way he plays his game. He's had some pretty massive hits on some guys that get a lot of attention. Everybody likes to see that. So.
I'm telling you right now, outside of the Nashville market, unless you're just a really diehard person who really just follows every team closely, there's a lot of people who follow this game closely who don't know a lot about Tanner Jeannot outside of this market. I'm telling you straight up right now.
Which is insane.
Well, you got to think about it this way, though. Tanner Jeannot went a very different route than a lot of these rookies.
That's true.
He wasn't drafted. He took notice in a very I can't even remember which league it was. He took notice in before the Preds signed him as a free agent. I gotta go back and look that up. But he was signed as a free agent out of the minor leagues. He was undrafted, so he was on no one's radar originally. Whereas a lot of these rookies who get in these Rookie of the Year races, they were already being tracked very closely leading up to the draft because they were going to get drafted in the first or second round. So Jeannot is like a very unexpected player who's getting national attention right now, that outside of the Preds market, people are just now learning about this guy, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just to watch him play, like he is. I don't even know how to explain it. He just has so much grit and to his game, and like he doesn't take anything off anybody, and he's always fighting, for position and like laying the big hits. So, I mean, he's definitely one of our favorites, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't know.
We're just going to have to see if he can keep up his production here. I mean, he's got 5 points through 12 games. When it comes to the rookie list, he's right there. I mean, you're looking at it right now. Lucas Raymond is who's kind of taking everyone by storm right now for the Red Wings. He's got 10 points. This was coming out. This was just a couple days ago, so that he might have a few more points by now. But you're seeing a very close rookie race. You don't have a Kaprizov this year. Like last year, it was Kaprizov who was just like running away with it. And everyone was like, "Oh, no one can stop Kaprizov on the Minnesota Wild." This season, it's very close race. Like there's going to be a lot of really good rookies that are going to be in the mix here. It's going to be a fun. I always like watching the Rookie of the Year race, the Calder Trophy race. It's always fun to watch. You've got Cole Sillinger in there, which for the Blue Jackets, which is a prospect that I really wanted the Preds to take at the time. I think he got taken before the Preds actually picked, but he's up there with 5 points. So Tanner Jeannot is right here in the mix with a lot of these really good prospects. What's crazy is he took a very different route to the NHL than a lot of these rookies who were in this race. That's kind of what's cool about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I looked at a couple of different lists, and Jeannot was like hovering around the 9th or 10th spot. Like the one I'm looking at now, he's in 10th. So yeah, he's right in there, man. I mean, most of the guys that are around him have around the same amount of points as him. So, anything can happen if he gets hot.
And then you look at Carrier, very similar. He also did not take a very direct path into this moment of being a rookie. He put in his work in the AHL before he finally started getting called up and getting regular playing time with the Nashville Predators.
He's a 25-year-old rookie.
Exactly. And this would be his last year of eligibility as a rookie, because I'm pretty sure when you hit age 26, no matter how much you've played before, you can't be considered a rookie anymore.
I think you're right.
So the Preds have 2 rookies that aren't your prototypical rookies this year.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the points. Tanner Jeannot is actually 24 as well. So, yeah, they're really
so I got it right. Yeah, so I got it right here. He played for Moose Jaw in the Western Hockey League.
That's
I couldn't remember exactly which league it was. He put up 40 goals and 40 assists in 72 games as an alternate captain in 2017-18. And then that's when Nashville signed him as a free agent in April of 2018.
And we were all like, who is this guy? And now he's like one of our favorite players. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, and then what John Hines had to say here, this is from NHL.com. When you look at his track record as a player, he always starts from the bottom up and gets better. He can rise to the occasion at each level. It's nice to have guys like that on the team. So that's your Tanner Jeannot there. He took the hard route into the moment he's in now. And what do you know? Now he's among the most efficient rookie scorers in the league right now. Pretty cool. And then when you look at Carrier, 25-year-old, he's averaging almost 21 minutes of ice time right now. So he is kind of taking the route that Fabro took at first, which is, hey, we're going to let you play with Matthias Ekholm. So you better be ready to produce, because these are that's a big slot to fill on that pairing. And I mean, he's producing. He's doing a lot of good things. He's doing what he needs to do. He scored a goal. He scored the lone goal against the Blackhawks last night. And so he's also very much in the mix when it comes to the rookie race. So we got 2 really good ones to follow this year.
Yeah, Carrier was awesome because like he really took his opportunity in camp to just show what he could do. He played in 19 games last season. He had 3 points He's already got 5 points this season in 12 games. So he took a big leap last year, being on the taxi squad and just getting those minutes last year. And now he's like you said, he's playing with Matthias Ekholm. So it's good.
Yeah.
I like him.
You think about a team like the Preds, and then you think about a team like the Vegas Golden Knights and how they are doing things two completely different ways. Whereas the Vegas Golden Knights have built their team through signing big-time players on the open market, just like they just got Jack Eichel.
Yeah,
whereas the Preds, they have the team they have now is pretty much entirely homegrown. It's pretty crazy. I mean, yeah, you can say Matt Duchene's not homegrown. Ryan Johansson was originally brought here way back when, but I'm saying the point is either these players have been here for a super long time and grown with the team, or a lot of these players have come through the system and gone the hard way into getting to where they're at now. Yakov Trenin, even Colton Sissons, he started playing from a very early point in his career, playing big minutes for this organization. You're seeing players who are key parts of this team this year who came through the hard way. They climbed their way up. They worked their way up the ranks.
Like you said, the majority of the roster is that way. Yeah, they've all.
You got Mikael Granlund, who was definitely brought here through an offseason acquisition. You throw Matt Duchene in there, of course. But other than that, I mean, it's a very homegrown type of roster.
Yeah.
Roman Josi is homegrown. Matthias Ekholm's homegrown.
Philip Forsberg is.
I still count him homegrown.
Yeah, definitely.
He never even played a game for the Capitals.
Yeah, so there you go. He's homegrown.
That still haunts them. That still haunts them in their nightmares too. I know.
You know it does. Oh man.
Yeah, and of course, you can throw Matt Benning and Mark Borowiecki in there. They're not homegrown, but as a majority, the team is very homegrown. And you see across the league, teams really go two different routes with this. They either take the long route, the hard route, to try to build their team up through their prospect pool. And then you see the teams who go for these big splashes. The Preds have gotten burned on these big splashes in the past. So it seems like they're taking the route now finally of, no, we're going to develop our talent. We're going to have a really good prospect pool. And we're going to go about it that way. I'm telling you straight up, when I think about the Vegas Golden Knights, they better win it this year because their bubble's going to burst very, very soon.
I think they have to do something as of right now. When Eichel comes and plays, they're going to be like, I thought I read 10 million over the cap. So they're going to have to figure something out somehow. I don't know how they figure all that money out, but
yeah, it's going to be weird.
Yeah, it will be weird.
So it's pretty crazy that the Preds have never had a Rookie of the Year winner.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Even Philip Forsberg's insane rookie season that he had.
Yeah.
Where he put up like 60 plus points that year.
Well,
since
did 2017, not. Since 2017, they haven't really been given opportunities that much. Poyle kept the team
very good
together,
point.
And
they haven't had to rely on any type of rookies to do anything for them.
Do anything, absolutely.
For since Forsberg, they really haven't had to lean on anyone.
And if you think about it, it's kind of bad a little bit because we're just now seeing Eeli Tolvanen. We're just now seeing Carrier, So
yeah, Philip Forsberg rookie season was 2014, 2015, where he played all 82 games as a 20-year-old rookie, which is just mind-boggling.
Yep.
He put up 63 points that year.
Wow.
63 points. I mean, people forget how dominant he was right away when he came here to the Predators. People forget how long he's been here. Like, he's been here since he came here as a 20-year-old. Like, everyone wants to talk about Tomasino. Okay, Philip Forsberg, I mean, come on now. I mean, it's insane. And now everyone's always longed for him to – if he could put up 64 points this season, oh, my God, people would fall over themselves.
Oh, they'd love it. Yeah.
And he did it. And he did it as a 20-year-old rookie. Like, it's so hard for me to wrap my head around that.
He is so close, like, to being an elite player. He's like right on the doorstep, and he just cannot, for whatever reason.
He finished fourth place that year in the Calder Trophy race.
Oh, wow.
And before we get to Kyle Perkins, he's about to join us for Perk's picks. I got to see who the hell beat him that year. Who won the Calder Trophy? I'm looking it up right now because I've looked this up before, but I can't remember. Oh, wow. All right. Forsberg was up against a ridiculous rookie class. You want to hear the three rookies that finished ahead of him?
I do, because I can't remember.
In the voting?
So who's number 3?
Number 3 was Johnny Gaudreau. Okay. Johnny Hockey. He was 21 years old. Number 2 was Mark Stone for Ottawa. Okay. Well, he was 22 years old. And number 1, I would have never guessed this. Number 1 was Aaron Ekblad.
Oh, wow.
18-year-old defenseman.
Wow.
He got 73% of the vote, 71 first-place votes. He had 39 points that year. But as a defenseman, they obviously gave him more credit because he was a defenseman that year, apparently. But, yeah, so Forsberg was second place among rookies with 63 points. Mark Stone and Johnny Gaudreau had 64 points. So Forsberg was right there to win Rookie of the Year that year, and we need him. I'm gonna go ahead and say right now, Tanner Jeannot is not scoring 63 points this year. I'm just gonna be very genuine and not get anyone's hopes up on that one.
That is not his game. Not his game. Not his game at all. So, yeah, I would agree. I think you're safe by saying that he's not going to get 63 points. That's funny.
I'm going to go ahead and call my shot on that one.
Yeah, you did it. I think you're good. I think you are good.
Hey, Kyle Perkins in here for Perk's picks.
Oh, that's cool because when he gets in here, we put some questions. Some people had some questions and some comments to read real quick. Lindsay responded. She had a question for us. Which game would you prefer Riddick to get into in the next back-to-back with the Preds? So we got a back-to-back coming up now, and then we've got, I think there's another one like around the 1st of December. So what game do you think he's going to get in?
Well, we got Kyle Perkins joining us now. What's up, Kyle? How you doing, man?
Pretty good. Yourselves?
We're hanging in there, man. We're hanging in there. It's the Preds schedule's been so weird. I never know what night of the week it is. Like they're playing these Sunday night games while the Titans are playing football. Like I'm just like all thrown off. I'm used to the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday routine. Not all these Sunday night, Friday night games.
I'll make it easy for you. So they got a back-to-back coming up actually tomorrow or Wednesday. They got Dallas and then St. Louis, and then they've got New Jersey and Colorado at the end of the month. Which one of those do you think would you rather Riddick get in instead of Saros? Dallas, St. Louis? Well, obviously. Which one?
I would not be against Riddick starting against Dallas the next game.
I like it.
With the way the Blues are playing, I think that would probably be the better choice.
Absolutely. So then here's a hard one. New Jersey or Colorado?
Will Jack Hughes be back?
Oh, I don't know.
But I dumped him off my fantasy team, so I don't know if any of y'all took him yet. I finally got sick of waiting.
I did not.
I'm picking up everybody on IR that I can, just so that I can be like.
I got sick of reserving 4 of my roster spots for people who weren't going to play for the foreseeable future, so I had to drop somebody.
There you go.
Gosh, I don't even want to think about. I somehow won this week. I don't know how, but anyway, we're not going to think about that. All right, yeah. So Riddick. So Lindsay, Lindsay, I think that Riddick should start the next Preds game against the Dallas Stars this Wednesday. I think that would be a great time. He should be fully ready to start a game, and this is a perfect time. Let's talk about David Riddick. That awesome story. It's not really a story. It's just a moment. It's something great that happened where he reached out to a fan that was there, and it just shows that he's such a really good Rich, kind of tell us the story, man.
Yeah, so there was a little boy, I cannot remember what his name is, in Calgary Flames fan, and there was a video his dad put up when he found out that David Riddick was not going to be playing for Calgary anymore. The little boy started crying. I mean, his kid's probably like seven or eight or whatever. So he was actually supposed to meet David Riddick, but because of COVID, he couldn't do all that. So Riddick actually contacted the guy's father and set up a meeting when the Predators played Calgary to meet the little boy in the stands.
I see it right here. Yeah,
he gave him a signed stick, took pictures with him, and then he actually did a FaceTime video with him because he couldn't be around him because of the COVID.
Yeah, the little boy's name is Oliver.
There you go. Yeah, Oliver. I couldn't remember what it was.
And you see the video here where he took time out of his. He took time. This is what it's all about right here. Like, forget about wins and losses. Forget about all that stuff. We love all that. But you know what? This is players using their platform for good. Yeah. Because that little boy, his life is going to be changed. He's going to remember that forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like awesome. That is, it's just so cool. I love it.
Yeah, it is. So then on Twitter, Lindsay had one more question I'm going to ask you guys before we get on to Perk's picks. So she says, would you rather fight Yakov Trenin or Tanner Janelle?
Kyle, I'm going to let you take that
one.
I know my answer.
I'm this will surprise you. I would rather fight Tanner.
Yes.
Because Yakov literally went to school for boxing.
There you go.
He literally went to school for it. So he's a trained fighter. I mean,
he did, and he also, as we've talked about before, cracked Chara in the jaw.
Right. Okay. Go, Kyle, and then I got my response to that, but go ahead real quick, Kyle.
Jano's fight in the Vancouver game the other day.
Oh, man.
Have y'all seen that some people on hockey fights actually thought that who did he fight? Shin?
I did see that. I did see that.
There was people that voted for him to win. He didn't throw a punch.
That's
because they think if you end up on your back and you're the one that gets taken down, like it's an MMA fight or something, that somehow that means the guy won. Yeah, I saw that too.
And then I think she's missing one though, like Borvieski. So that fight he got into, he put a whooping on that dude.
I'm sorry, I think the Boro fight's the best fight of the year so far. There's been some really good ones. But I've already been on record to say that if they gave out Stanley Cups due to the best fighting team, Preds would be a dynasty, hands down. Yeah, but let me answer that question. I would actually rather fight Yakov Trenin because I know he's going to end it quick. He's probably going to knock me. He's going to knock me out cold with one punch. I'm going to wake up like 10 minutes later, like, what happened? Like, where am I at? Yeah. Whereas I feel like Tanner would punish me. He would just he would not completely knock me out, but he would still give me the business and just rough me up, and I would just have to suffer through it. Yakov would just end it quick. He would just just knock me out quick. So I'm going to take Yakov. I had to think about it, but I'm taking Yakov. All right, let's get without further ado. It's episode 78. It's Monday. It's a great time of the week because we get another edition of Perk's Picks. Let's get at it. Let's hear his first pick of the week.
All right. First one is Matt Duchene is good at hockey.
Okay.
I like that.
He's had 5 points in the last 5 games. Could he be turning into the player that David Poole went all Moby Dick, the white whale after?
Boy, did
and just mortgaged the farm to get this guy, and now he's actually showing shades of playing that way. He's always in the play. He's playing good defensive hockey. His zone entries have been outstanding. Hey, Rich, he's not getting pinched behind the net anymore either.
I know, man. I noticed that. That's awesome.
He must be listening to the podcast. It's the only explanation.
I think so.
And it's just the passing and the fact that he's shooting the puck as much as he is now. I believe he's kind of took the role of playing that right wing and has said, okay, if they're going to make me do this, I'm going to make it my own and I'm going to be good at it. and I'm not going to huff and puff and pout. It looks like he's more bought into the system this year. It looks like he's having more fun.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%.
I will say, so I've been saying this. The thing about, so they wanted to unload Matt Duchene over the offseason. They didn't protect him against Seattle with the Seattle expansion draft. They didn't protect Ryan Johansson either, and instead they protected Tanner Jeannot, which I've already on full record of saying I'm glad they did that. And David Poile looks like a genius for doing that. But whether we like it or not, the Preds and Matt Duchene are stuck together for the foreseeable future.
They are.
So they might as well make the best of it. And as of right now, in a very small sample size, Matt Duchene is making the best of it, and he's making the best of it for his team. And if he can keep this up, you've got two really awesome scenarios that can come out of this. They can go hand in hand. Not only does he make the Preds competitive and hopefully a playoff caliber team, but if David Poile decides to be really shrewd and really cunning in his moves like he's been known to be, he might decide to surprise all of us and trade Matt, not this season, but eventually if Matt Duchene's trade value gets higher, we could see him dumped off before his contract actually runs out. I would not sell that off at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think he knows, like, if he ever has any designs to go anywhere else, like, he's going to have to play better. So maybe that's what it is. Who knows?
So my point is it's a win-win scenario.
Absolutely.
So it's great to see.
Another thing to look at on that is Forsberg, his contract.
That's true.
He has durability issues.
He does.
Yeah,
you're right.
He's missed substantial amounts of time the last 3 seasons in a row. Do we really want to pay him big money, or do they want to trade him at the deadline and build more for the future?
That's a very good point you bring up, and that's exactly why when I found out that Forsberg was week to week, which that's the scariest designation you can have in hockey because hockey is so mysterious with their injuries. Like, for instance, you take football, Derrick Henry. 8 to 10 weeks is what they're giving you. Even in complex injury like that, we have a timetable at least. Like, we don't know exactly, but we have a timetable. Week to week in hockey could mean anything. It could mean he's back this week. It could mean he's not back till next month. We really don't know. They just don't give us that information. And so that's what it doesn't scare me what the Preds are going to do in the short term. I think they can survive without him in the short term. Like Kyle just said, what worries me is what's going to how's this going to impact the trade deadline? It's very possible that this could be the beginning of the end for Philip Forsberg in a Nashville Predators uniform. And I know that sounds doom and gloom, but
hey, man,
I mean,
you got to do what you got to do.
And I hated to even say it. I hated to even say it, but
I love you speaking. We speak the truth on this podcast, even if it's not what we want to hear.
Yep.
So was that a pick? Did that didn't count as a pick, did it?
No. That
was extra.
All right.
That was a tail off of the Duchene.
All right.
We'll go on to the next pick. We'll go on to happier things, and that's let the kids play. So we've had this line of Tolvanen, Novak, and Tomasino, and they've been impressive. They've really looked good together. Tommy Novak handling the puck has been relentless. If you see him trying to come into the zone, he will go in against 2 or 3 guys and just throw his shoulder into them, and it's like, I'm going to push you into the zone. And his passing is what's been super impressive to me. He's not showing up a lot on the scorecard right now, but he's making opportunities for these other guys. And that shows up with the expected goals per 60. Tomasino is actually leading the team in expected goals per 60 minutes played with 1.25, and Tolvanen is third with 0.97. So even though they're struggling, Tolvanen's struggling. He's snake bit. He looks like Duchene did last year. He can't get a goal to go to save his life. And he's like in baseball, he's got the yips.
The yips.
He's just, it's like the posts have magnets in them and the puck's just drawn to him.
Well, you noticed in the last game he wound up being on the fourth line with Grimaldi and Novak, and they moved Tomasino up into his slot. So
yeah, and I'd put that down as well. That with all the injuries they've had to break that line up. And Hines had even said he was leaving that line together because he wanted chemistry for the future.
Right.
So I think whenever you start getting pieces back in, that line will go back together.
Yeah.
The low-high power play goal that started out with Novak, went to Cunnin, and into Tomasino might be the nicest goal scored by the Predators in a long, long time. As far as just perfect passing, that looked like something that you would see from a McDavid and Draisaitl on a power play, not from Nashville.
We don't get to see that very often.
No, not at all.
Often when it happens.
And normally the Preds score these dirty goals, which they still count the same, but they score these goals from outside, and you look for a deflection or you look for one of those types of goals. But this season in particular, they have been really doing a good job setting stuff up, especially on the power play. Like, it just looks night and day. They're productive. They're setting things up. I'll leave the Chicago Blackhawks game out of it, but other than that, they've been really building on something, and so that's refreshing to see. That's the type of thing they needed coming into the season if they were going to outperform their low preseason expectations. And so we'll have to see if it continues.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we'll go on to the next one, and that's the juice, as Chris Mason would say.
The juice.
You like it, the juice.
You like it, the juice. So UC is 13th in goals saved above expected and 5th in expected goals against. So if you put those two stats together, that's going to show you that UC is still putting up good to great numbers and performances despite a terrible defensive effort in front of them. To be that low in expected goals against and to still have even decent numbers, much less good numbers, that is amazing. He had the bad goal against Besser in the Vancouver game, where he came out too far and he got in behind him.
Yeah.
I think he would like to have that one back, but most of them he's got scored on are ones that he's been screened or terrible defensive plays in front of him. So,
and that's what hurts so bad about losing to Chicago is he was playing out of his mind like he usually does, and all they can manage is one goal. And Carrier had to fight to get that goal, so it's like it sucks for Saros to play so well and then not. Well, they did get a point, but
you look at the goal in overtime. Yossi comes in and tries to score on that little move he does going by the goalie, so he is collapsed right into the net. So that leaves two Blackhawks players back for a 2-on-1. Alex DeBrincat is a top tier goal scorer. You can't really fault UC on that. I'm pretty sure Kane was the other one.
It was.
That's you're danged if you do and danged if you don't. Which one do you block? And
two of the best players on the team, just about. Well, that is, in my opinion, it is. So,
Patrick Kane to me, since I've started watching hockey, is terrifying every time he's in overtime.
Yeah.
When you get that extra open ice and he's just goes on a spree.
Yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous. So we'll go on to our next pick, and that's next man up. So Nick Cousins leaves the game 10 minutes into the second period. I don't know what happened. I didn't see it, and I haven't heard anything about it, but he did not play a single shift since then. So you've already got Grimaldi in the lineup, who is taking Forsberg's spot. So
That's kind of funny to say.
That's not a really. That's not. I love Grimaldi, but that is not an even swap.
No. So the question is, who takes that open spot? Who's going to be the call up? Or there's one other super awful option.
I'll take Matthew Olivier for 100, please, Alex. Or
that
I guess it's
that is my most probable choice, especially consider they're playing Dallas. Dallas games are always chippy, nasty. They're rough games. Every Dallas game is a rough game. There's probably going to be fists thrown. There's probably going to be and if that's going to be going down, Matty O's not a bad guy to have around.
It won't take very long for Jamie Benn to get in a scrum. It won't take long for Ratty to get in a scrum. Yeah. These two teams literally don't like each other. Like, I know that's thrown around a lot. It's a cliche in sports, but there's legit bad blood between the Stars and the Preds, and because they play so similar styles. So they're in the division together, and they're very likely going to both be battling for possibly a wild card spot. That's very possible. And I can promise you the Stars and those key players like Jamie Benn remember very well that the sole reason why they did not make the playoffs last year is because they could not beat the Preds in overtime.
Oh, yeah.
And it was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing. It was so beautiful. So I want to know what the last option is. I want to hear you say it out loud.
There's two more.
I want to hear the last one especially.
The second one is the one that I would love to see happen, and that would be Igor get a Afanasayev up, let him get his first game, because you're already missing a sniper type player with Forsberg. Igor's a big-bodied guy, so it's not like he's going to get pushed around a lot. The third and terrible option,
here it comes,
is the Preds play 7D and put Ben Harper back in the lineup.
Preds Twitter on fire.
I mean, sadly enough, I would not be surprised by that at all.
It would not surprise me either.
I really think I think you've said this before, Rich, but I'm pretty sure Ben Harper has some dirt on John Hines.
I think he does.
Got to.
Like, he knows something we don't know. And Ben Harper's like, if you don't put me in the – like, he can pretty much call Coach Hines up any day and be like, hey, I want to play tonight. Make sure you make it happen. And John Hines is like, okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm not being Adam Schefter here. I don't have any insider information or an insider scoop. I'm not Elliot Friedman here, but something weird's going on behind the scenes because I don't know how Ben Harper keeps finding his way into this lineup.
Like since we started talking about Harper a little more this season, like I've started watching him a little more closely than I did before, and he's so out of position all the time.
And this is purely just judging his game. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I'm sure he's a great guy.
Yes.
We are just going off of the game itself, and it's so blatantly obvious. And I've never seen Preds fans all come together almost 100% on a certain topic. Normally, this fan base likes to fight with each other tooth and nail on so many freaking things. I've never seen this fan base come together almost unanimously on one topic, and it is Ben Harper, and that he should not be playing. But John Hines is that one person that gets to make the decisions, and he keeps putting them in. So I don't know. I got nothing.
It's an enigma, that's for sure.
Yeah, in my notes next to that option, it says, "Dear God, kill me now."
That's what I wanted to hear.
But you brought up Afanasyev. I love him, and he's going to get his chance to shine. It's going to happen. I just think the Preds what they're doing right now is working, and I don't want to disrupt the flow of what they're doing right now. And I think you can easily plug in Matthew Olivier to how the Preds are playing right now, and you wouldn't really miss a beat on it. And I do think Olivier has some sneaky offensive talents. I'm not saying he's going to come out there and just blaze around for 6 shots on goal and be a Tomasino out there, but he can put some shots on goal. But really, you want players that are going to play this style. We are who we are. We don't need to run away from it. We don't need to shy away from it. We're a rugged team. We're the team that, Chris Mason says it all the time on the broadcast. We are a physical, grinded out style. I know there's a lot of fans who hate that. They hate saying that all the time. They want to see the flashiness, but you got to take what you got on this roster. And this roster says you got to win that type of way. And so if Cousins is out, you got to put Olivier in. And I actually think Olivier brings a little bit more offensive ability than Cousins. I just feel that way. So we'll see. But we'll see. That's interesting. It's very interesting, Kyle, that you brought that up because I didn't even really realize that Cousins was in danger of missing any time. So
here's a question real quick. If Cousins doesn't come back, do you just put Olivier into his spot, or do you move Tanner Janota into his spot and put Olivier?
That's a whole. I mean, we could spend a whole nother hour talking about that. I mean, we're gonna. What we do know is if Cousins is out, the lineups are going to be shuffled around once again. What do you think, Kyle?
I think you move Janot up. His offensive upside so much more.
Yep.
I think his ceiling's a lot higher than Olivier as far
and
as
that follows right along with your the name of this pick, which is next man up. Tanner Janot has absolutely shown that he's deserved that right to move up when slots open. He's the one that should be next up in line to move up. So I like that.
Me too.
So the final pick of the day is get to the point. The Predators picked up 1 point against Chicago, and there was only 1 point scored in that game. No assists, no nothing, just Alex Carrier scoring 1 goal. That he did all by him big boy self, and
he had to fight for it.
He fought everybody on that Blackhawks team to get that goal in.
I love it.
There was 4 guys down there, and he just would not be stopped. He was on his back after he shot it and everything else. Carrier's looked so good. You really can't say enough good things about that kid. He looked good when he played with Yossi. He's looked really good when he's playing with Ekholm, because Ekholm's more your stay-at-home guy, where Carrier, he kind of likes to go. He likes to take the puck and go with it. So you've got a good setup there with those two together. But you've got to get the points, especially against a team like Chicago. Chicago's been shelled so many times this year. I understand they just fired their coach. The guys were coming out and they were like, we're going to win this one. Yeah. But they are not that good of a team.
No.
So.
No, once you get past like Kane, DeBrincat, and Tevez, I didn't know who any of them were.
Well,
I didn't recognize any. Well, Lankinen.
The way they played that game, honestly, I'm just happy they got a point because I think it was their worst performance of the year. It was, and they followed up what I think is one of their best performances of the year against the Vancouver Canucks with their worst performance of the year. Like, it's like they decided to just, and it happens. It's an 82 game season. I'm not going to overreact to it. I just wish could it have came against a different team. If you're going to, why do you got to save your worst performance of the year against the freaking Blackhawks of all teams?
And against a bad goaltender.
Gosh, well, yeah. Lankinen looked really good last season. I don't know what he's only played in 3 games. He's only played in 3 games, so I'm not going to really, get into that.
In front of him, the team in front of him is so bad.
They have no defense. Seth Jones looks like Ben Harper.
How much did they pay him? How much money did he make?
Like 9.5.
Oh my gosh!
Hey, hold on, Kyle. You can't say he looks like Ben Harper because I don't know if Ben Harper
you go
has
by
ever.
The stats.
But is Ben Harper ever?
Stats.
I'm pretty sure Ben Harper has never registered a point in his. Maybe he's registered 1 point in his career. I don't even know. But at least Seth Jones is getting some assists this season.
Is he?
But when you put the contracts up there, of course, it's pretty bad.
Seth Jones's contract makes Matt Duchene and Ryan Johansson look like
a bargain.
Budget. But it looks like you got them at the Dollar Tree when you.
You stole it. That's literally what I was gonna say, Kyle. Great minds think alike. I was literally gonna go there. We got Matt. I'll do it even better. We got Seth Jones makes Matt Duchene and Ryan Johansson look like you got him out of that DVD bin in Walmart. The big DVD bin. The big DVD bin where you dig through it, you have to climb down to the bottom to find like a good movie or whatever. But maybe we got our diamond in the rough with Matt Duchene.
You're like, this cover looks good. I'll pay $2 for it. Yeah. So here, real quick, I pulled up Harper's stats. He's played in the NHL for 6 seasons. Obviously, not like the first 2, not very much. 14 points. That's how many points he has in 6 seasons. 1 goal. That's all he's got. 1 goal. And that came in 2018, 2019.
Ouchies.
Big ouchie, bro. That's an ouchie.
All right. So, hey, this week's edition of Perks Picks. We got one more thing to get to because we acknowledge greatness when greatness happens. And we need to go ahead and just savor the time we have left watching Alex Ovechkin play hockey. And I wanted to make sure Kyle was with us when we talked about this real quick to round out episode 78 of the podcast. And that is Alex Ovechkin. He ties Brett tonight.
Brett Hall.
On the all-time goals list. And if you take out the lockouts and you take out the COVID-shortened seasons and all that, I mean, he'd be right there with Gretzky. He'd be getting close, maybe even passing him this season if it wasn't for that. Kyle, what do you think about Alex Ovechkin and just how do you feel about him? Do you love his game? Are you even the Preds player, obviously? Like, how do you feel about him?
Ovi's probably one of my top 5 players that I like that aren't Preds players.
Yeah.
I enjoy him. He's got this seems like he's got this joy for life. And he's always got this big goofy smile on his face, and it's hard for me not to like a guy like that. And he goes to this spot, and he says, "Here I am, stop it."
If you can.
And there's something like it reminds me of the movie Major League. If you go back in the day, he's like, "I'm going to throw a 97 mile an hour fastball at you, and you're not even going to swing," and it's basically the same thing. Ovi's going to stand in his circle, and he's going to cannon that thing at your face, and you can try to stop it if you want to.
Yeah.
And I just respect that. It's just ridiculous to see him do that shot.
So
I right there with you, man.
Yeah. The pace he's going, I think he'll definitely get into third this year. So Jaromir Jagr's in third, 700.
Coming up on Jaromir Jagr.
Yeah, so I think it's definitely possible for him to do that. After that, the real work's going to begin because Gordie Howe has 801, and then obviously Gretzky's got 894, and Ovechkin is 38 years old. So,
but he's
he's very durable. But the type of style he plays, I mean, he's a rough player. Like he doesn't shy away from contact at all out there.
Right.
But it's going to be really interesting to see how close he gets, like how much can he narrow the gap by the end of this current season is going to really make it seem like it'll put it in perspective for him, like how much more I want to keep going or whatever.
Yeah.
But very interesting stuff there.
I could see him getting into second. First is going to be
so. Speaking of which, yeah, I wanted to bring up Ovechkin for sure. Of course, we're brought to you by DraftKings. Can't leave DraftKings out tonight. We just watched a really crazy sports weekend. If you're a Nashville sports fan, odds are if you're a Preds fan, you're also a Titans fan, you're a Nashville SC fan, you're probably a Tennessee Vols fan in football, even though I'm not. What a wild freaking weekend. Sorry, Kyle. Sorry to my 2 co-hosts right now who are both Kentucky fans. I'm just going to bring it up, though. It was a really, really good weekend of sports. If you are a Preds, Titans, Vols, Nashville SC, and soccer fan, because all 4 of those teams got big wins over the weekend. Nashville SC is going to host a home playoff game. The Titans won on primetime football against the Rams without Derrick Henry. And of course you've got the Tennessee Vols who beat Kentucky, a huge win for them there. So just a great weekend of sports and perfect time to bring up DraftKings because now the NHL season is completely underway. And DraftKings has finally got an offer for you now, and it's for all of our NHL fans with our promo code THPN. DraftKings is the official sports betting partner of the NHL, and you've got $100 in free bets on the line right now if either team scores a goal on any game that you bet on. So I think your odds are pretty good because someone has to eventually score right? I mean, I'm pretty sure it can't end in a 0-0 draw, right? So I'm pretty sure this goes as a very good DraftKings offer for you if you use our promo code THPN. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Throw down $1 on any NHL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a goal this week. One puck in the net nets you a big win with promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 years or older in New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager is required. There's one per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you have a gambling problem, we ask that you please call 1-800-GAMBLER. And of course, if Sportsbook is not available in your state yet, then DraftKings won't leave you empty-handed because you can get into the daily fantasy. Of course, we're doing our fantasy hockey league. We got to update everyone. Let's update everyone on that real quick because a lot of our loyal listeners are in the league with us, and so we want to throw some love at how the league's going right now. And it's a pretty competitive league, I got to say. We've got Matt Hardesty, who is part of Renegades of Puck, right? With you, Kyle? Doesn't he?
Sort of, kind of, yeah. I believe so. I believe that's where I did meet Matt.
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure he's involved with Renegades of Puck, and that's how I'm pretty sure that's how I got in touch with him anyway.
Yeah, Renegades has so many people that are involved.
You got a lot of Renegades.
You forget who all's part of it sometimes.
I think he's part of it. Well, anyway, he's leading the league right now. He's crushing everybody. He's 4-0. He's 4-0, and he's got like way more points than anyone else too. So he's just dominating. You've got Lindsay, who's the Flames fan, the David Riddick fan. She's very active on our episodes every night. Got to go throw her a lot of love because she is coming in at second place right now. Yeah, and she's looking strong. Her team is looking really good. She's got, I look at her team right now. She's got Matthew Chuck. She's got Johnny Gaudreau. She's got Pietrangelo. She's got Tomas Hertl for the San Jose, who's going off this year. She's got Vasilevsky and net. She's got a decent team. My poor team is all hurt. I don't even know. Every day when I look at my roster, I'm like, all right, who else is? Oh, I forgot to tell everyone. Not only do I have Kucherov and Mark Stone, who's on IR for probably the next season, for all I know. I've also got Phil Forsberg on my team.
Oh, that's right.
It's like, can I catch a break here? And I already had to drop Jack Hughes. Because you've only got so many IR spots. So listen to my team right now that I've had to piece together. I got Kopitar. I love that. He's doing pretty good for me. Here's how desperate I've had to get with mine. I've got Tom Wilson on my team, who's actually doing pretty good for me. But I've had to sign Alexiak on my defense. I've got Yanni Gorde for Seattle, so that's cool. But I mean, like, I've got Foligno for Minnesota. I had to sign him this week. I mean, I've got like the most pieced together roster I've ever seen. Yeah. Yeah, right. And then I've got UC Saros in net, but he gets hung out to dry like all the time. I mean, it's just like, I don't even know how I'm going to survive this season. I'm just not feeling good about it at all.
Yeah, I'm in sixth. I barely know what I'm doing. I haven't traded that many people away or picked up very many people, but my big winner that I have is Alex Ovechkin, so he's always getting me some points.
You've already made it fully known that I could have taken Alex Ovechkin over Kucherov in the draft.
And you took Kucherov because
Kyle, how's your team doing, man? I know you're the Goon Squad. It looks like you're in fifth place right now.
Yeah, I'm playing Lindsay this week, so I'm probably going to lose. But
You got a good team, though, man. I like your team a lot. I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, there's so much potential. Sidney Crosby comes in and gets me -3 points. I'm still salty about that.
Oh, you got Ellie
mean,
Tolvanen. Oof.
You got Connor
Yeah.
McDavid. He's got you got Teravainen. I mean, you got Tarasenko. You've got Kaprizov. You've got Rupe Hintz. You've got a really good team. It could end up working out for you.
Oh,
Yeah,
you got Line A, and he's injured.
And
Yeah.
I also saw the Carey Price is coming back.
Yeah, he's supposed to be coming back to the team today.
So that'll be good for you. That'll
Did
be
you
good for
just
you.
pick him up? You just picked him up, didn't you?
Yep.
You dog.
So now I have 3 really good goalies in Swayman, Shesterkin, and Price. So
You sure do. Yeah, my goaltenders are not good. So I picked Fleury. I was like, yes, he's going to do well. Nope. Not
I'll
at
trade
all.
you a goalie for an Ovi.
No, I don't think so. No.
Well, yeah, but you've got the built-in excuse of saying all season that you don't know what you're doing, so no one's going to hold it against you if you end up
That's true. Yeah.
if you end up sucking. You've got the like I used to always do this when I first got a job. Even though like I'd be like a year into the job, and then whenever I screwed up, I would just say, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's my first day."
You're like, I'm a new
Still
guy.
training.
I'm new. I don't know.
Like when I was younger and I started working as a kid, like 17, 18, an older guy who I was taught me that trick. If you ever screw up, because I was in the service industry, if you ever screw up and you make a customer mad, just act really sad and tell them it's your first day in your training, and they'll feel really sorry. They'll feel really bad, and I'm like, that's really good. Like I like that. But
Like,
all right,
you waited on me last week. You're not new.
right.
You served me 3 days ago.
Yeah. You've been my bartender for the last 6 years. You're not new anymore.
Yeah. Like, do you not recognize me?
All right.
That's awesome.
All right. It's been a really fun episode. Episode 78, of Catfish on Ice. It's been really fun. This has been presented by DraftKings and part of the Hockey Podcast Network. Again, stay tuned. We got a watch along coming up in the next 2 weeks. We will announce which game that will be. We'll be watching the Preds game live and reacting to it on our YouTube channel. Stay tuned for that. Until then, this has been Catfish on Ice, episode 78 with Chad Mitten, Rich Howe, and Kyle Perkins. We will see you later this week for episode 79. We will have some Preds hockey to react to once again. Another back-to-back coming up against the Stars and the St. Louis Blues. Two really hated teams in a row. So got to get ready for it. So until then, everyone have a great week. We will see you later this week.
Have a good one.